This is Isaiah 19. And 3. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. I like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, call Elohim La Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem, Bachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders, GMS, and the like-minded brothers. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aqua that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawam back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, say bye-bye to Babylon's dollar. All right, and I'm going to play a couple of videos, all right, and then we're going to grab a couple of scriptures, right, and close out. But going back to Isaiah 19:3, all right, the main focal point is the first part of the precept. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. Okay. And eventually, you see, once America, all right, Babylon the Great, which is spiritually known as Egypt also, all right, once it fails, all right, this place is is going to seek to their idols, okay? It's going to seek to their charmers, all right, the familiar spirits and the wizards, which are not going to have any answers for them, man. You see? And, you know, it's all prophecy that this dollar will collapse, all right? This is why Egypt is going to fail, all right? And everything else is going to fail with it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi, all right? So, with that being said, let's grab a couple of these videos. All right, let's grab this one.
Tonight, major cities across the United States are in flames as the dollar plunges to record lows. Food disruptions have triggered widespread riots and looting. The federal government remains silent after the evacuation of the capital earlier this evening. Military forces have been deployed but are struggling to restore order.
As NA News at 10, riots have now spread to more than 40 major cities. Banks remain closed and martial law has been declared
Babylon's fallen, just like it was written. Scenes like this one outside the courthouse have become common. Protesters clashing with heavily armed officers as curfews go into effect. Empty
Babylon really is falling.
Breaking news tonight, riots have erupted in every major city across the United States after the sudden collapse of the dollar. Banks are closed and the National Guard has been deployed.
just like the prophet said.
Images coming in now show entire districts on fire as troops struggle to regain control.
And like he said, just like the prophet said, see, they're going to realize that there was a true prophet among them, all right, when that time comes, all right, whether they hear or forbear, okay? As a matter of fact, let's grab that. Let's grab that. This is Ezekiel. 2 and 5. It says, actually, I'll grab it from 3. All right, it says, and he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh. And they whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there has been a prophet among them. Okay. So at the end of the day, all right, the Lord has sent us among this rebellious house, right, to constantly preach this word over and over and over again, to sound like a broken record. All right. Just like the scriptures constantly repeat themselves over and over again. All right. The prophets constantly repeat themselves over and over again. All right. Telling you what's going to come to America. See, but this is a rebellious house. And, you know, rebellion is as witchcraft and sin, you see. And that's why these niggas is just part of 2/3. All right. Because they're always rebelling against Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Okay. So by them rebelling, all right, and, you know, whether they hear or forbear, okay, they're going to know that there was a true prophet that was sent among them, all right? And we've always been here, all right? The prophets have always been, all right, around since the beginning of time, telling you, you know, declaring the end from the beginning, as the scriptures say, man, because the Lord declared the end from the beginning, okay? So, you know, we've always been around warning the people over and over of what was to come when it came to, you know, evils and war and pestilence, all right? When it came to, you know, societies collapsing, empires collapsing, okay? And see, this is the last one. This is the last empire to collapse, all right? Babylon the Great, all right? And we're patiently waiting for America to just fall off his last little string that has been holding on to, okay? So with that being said, all right, let me grab another video. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play this one again because it was short.
Plunges to record lows. Food disruptions tonight. Major cities across the United States are in flames as the dollar plunges to record lows. Food disruptions have triggered widespread riots and looting. The federal government remains silent after the evacuation of the capital earlier this evening. Military forces have been deployed but are struggling to restore order.
This is NA News at 10. Riots have now spread to more than 40 major cities. Banks remain closed and martial law has been declared
Babylon's falling, just like it was written. Scenes like this one outside the courthouse have become common. Protesters clashing with heavily armed officers as curfews go into effect. Empty
Really is falling.
Breaking news tonight, riots have erupted in every major city across the United States after the sudden collapse of the dollar. Banks are closed and the National Guard has been deployed.
Just like the prophet said.
Images coming in now show entire districts on fire as troops struggle to regain control.
News tonight, major cities across the
Lord willing, we see that in 2026, all right, which we're already seeing a little by little now. All right, let's grab this other video.
Putin announced this week that Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they're in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China and Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries here: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries all have emerging economies. So what happens if our economy and the US dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley, is here to weigh in. Monica, great to see you this morning. Let's start right there. What happens if these emerging economies move away from the US dollar towards the Chinese yuan?
Well, good morning, Will. It's great to be with you. And it's really hard to overstate exactly how catastrophic the abandonment of the US dollar would be as the world's global reserve currency. Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years. But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars. If that were to end, that would mean the end of the US dollar. Look, there is a perfect storm happening right now, Will. the world's reserve currency being that, having that status has been a real privilege, but we've abused the privilege by wholly reckless monetary and fiscal policies over many years, certainly over the last couple of years, which has really devalued the dollar. On top of that, now you do have this perfect storm of Biden's weakness, his war on American domestic energy production, the Ukraine war, and as you point out, because of all of these things, we've got America's enemies led by China forming a new economic bloc. And all it would take at this point now, because we're at this pivotal moment, Will, is for Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic
system. And real quick, see, and that's why they're going to war with Venezuela, because Saudi Arabia, all right, is one that has a lot of oil also, right? So now, because they're not dealing so much with that dollar no more, all right, who's going to be able to fund, who's going to be able to give them that oil? You see? So this is what Esau does. He goes and bullies someone else's resources, which, you know, South America, all right, Venezuela is known for their oil. You know, they're, as a matter of fact, Venezuela has the most oil, all right, out of all these different countries. They have the most oil in the world, all right, the most barrels of oil. And I did a video on that about 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. You see, so this is why this devil has been waging war against Venezuela, because he wants this oil, because he ain't got no more, which, you know, oil is out throughout the whole entire earth. You know, it's just richer in certain places, you see, but this devil wants to take over all the oil that's in South America, you see, and that's why they're waging war on them right now.
System. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raging Weimar Republic kind of inflation. If you think inflation is bad now, just wait. But more importantly, we would lose our economic dominance and we would lose our superpower status.
Monica, the world's reserve currency, you said it's a privilege for the United States for the dollar to have been the world's currency. How does that relate to each individual American? How has that changed or impacted or improved our lives throughout the last several decades?
Yeah, I mean, it's given the United States incredible dominance in the world in terms of the economic system and in terms of trade. It's kept prices down. So whether it's energy prices, whether it's your food prices, the entire global economic system is reliant on the safe and secure dollar. But that is no longer true, again, because we've been printing money like crazy and devalued the power of the dollar and the value of the dollar. But on top of it now, again, oil is the critical linchpin of this. If Saudi Arabia decides to join with America's enemies here and start trading oil in different currencies, that is going to undermine the entire global economic system. And here at home, you know what it's going to mean for us? It's going to mean raging inflation, so much worse than anything we have ever experienced, Will. And I'll tell you, they're setting it up so that they can then come to the rescue by introducing central bank digital currencies. If they were to do that, and the United States already has a pilot program, that means the loss of your individual economic freedom, because the government will have total access and control of everything you buy and sell, and the ability to turn it off like that.
Ominous warning, I hear you.
You're going to have the ability to control everything that you buy and sell. And that's why they're going to bring, see, it's all orchestrated, man, to bring in that new world order, to bring in that agenda that they want, which everything's going, all roads lead to that microchip, man, to that RFID, that charagma, okay? Whether it be, you know, them setting up their infrastructure of this digital dollar, you know, whether it be of them, you know, losing out on the dollar and people buying worldwide and using it, but, you know, not able to buy oil no more from these other countries or buy goods, you know, because, you know, the tariffs go up. See, it all goes back to one thing, man. It all goes back to leading you to that RFID.
Saudi Arabia is the tipping point. Oil trading in dollars is the tipping point.
All right, it's that simple. All right, let me grab another one. This is what was it? 1 second.
It's happening in Mexico. Digital currency just announced today. We heard in the last probably 45 days, they didn't want American dollars in Mexico anymore. If you were going to go, they're trying to pass a bill that if you go to vacation in Mexico, you only deal in pesos. So you have to exchange your currency for their currency. We heard in the last 45 days that there's a bill that's been presented that you can't make fun of any political people, including the president. We are now waiting on her. We went full biometrics. They said it was voluntary, and it's not. It's being asked for at airports and other official offices. If you want to get any benefits from Mexico, you got to give your iris, your eyeball, along with the fingerprints. It's being mandated. The last thing they need to do is a digital passport. That's where they're going. It's the only thing left. 70% of the people come and say it's the mark of the beast. What are we going to do? They're flipping.
And that ain't even going to be the last thing, because that digital passport ain't shit. Is going to turn into eventually that RFID. All right. All this digital IDs that are being set up, all right, all around the world right now is just a precursor to that RFID that's going to be eventually made mandatory. All right. They have to set up the biometric system, all right, in order for them to present that RFID, you see, because they have to gather your information. They're trying to make it easy. See, they can't just do it all in one shot like that, man. They got to do it in increments, all right? They have to do it, you know, getting a couple people here, getting a couple people there, you know, and by the time you look at it, all right, everybody's going to be put into the digital.
This is great.
It's going to be put into that digital system, you see? And then once everybody's in the digital system, all right, it's able to, they're able to collapse everything, okay, reset everything, all right, and then in the process of all this chaos, all right, they're able to come and present you the final solution, the final boss, you know what I'm saying, which is this RFID, okay?
There's always a small percentage of dumb people. It's just how life is. NPCs, non-player character.
All right, and let's grab, I think I got one more.
Mark of the beast, it is here.
No.
Here's the great benefits of digital ID. You can see from Estonia the speed with which people can access services that are available to them, which will be transformation.
So like you.
Enthusiasm in Estonia for it. Here's the great benefits of digital ID. You can see from Estonia the speed with which people can access services that are available to them, which will be transformational, and there's great enthusiasm in Estonia for it.
And it's all about convenience, you see, because it says welcomes Gaza peace deal. All right, it says on the bottom, it says we are ready to play our part in implementing peace deal. All right, and what he was saying was,
here's the great benefits of digital ID. You can see from Estonia the speed with which people can access services that are available to
so talking about the digital ID, that, you know, the convenience that they're like fascinated with, the infatuated with the speed that it everything is done in, you know, being able to transfer that data, okay, which is all going to go back to, you know, being put in your right hand on your forehead. All right. Right. For now, they're going to bring this digital ID. All right. Showing you the gradualism. All right. Which they've been gradually doing more and more throughout the years. You know, it started with the cash, then it came with them, you know, bringing your credit cards. Now they're taking out the credit cards, and now you got everything on your phone. Now they're going to take away the phone. Now they're going to give you an ID that's got everything digitally on it. All right. And then eventually they're going to take away that ID. All right. And they're going to give you the actual solution. All right. Which is going to be that you're going to be made that ID. You know, your body. is going to be your ID, you know, because no one can take your body from you, you see. So this is, you know, this is what they're going to end up doing. All right. As a matter of fact, and let me just play this last part, and then I grab a precept that I got in mind.
It is here already.
This is going to be the end result. All right, this is the end result right here.
Mark of the beast. It is here already.
It's like having a built-in key for unlocking doors, making payments, or even starting a car, all with just a wave of your hand.
So you have something else that's really interesting in the newsletter about people in Sweden implanting, putting implants, microchips, right?
Yes.
Into them.
Well, that's an unusual sensation. What does it feel like? It doesn't hurt. There was a little pop. It's a weird feeling. And it's over. It's done. It's done. I'm a robot now.
Oh my God! The modern rogue is now officially part cyborg.
I'm a modern cyborg.
It's all fun and games until it becomes mandatory. Revelation 13:16 to 17. And he made all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
You are a beast.
So that's going to be the final end result. All right. Shalom alak Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah. All right. So let's grab this. All right. Because we are known as spiritual Egypt. Right. Which I'll grab that precept real quick. This is Revelations. Revelations 11. All right. And 8. And it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. All right. What is the great city? America, Babylon the Great. All right. And their dead bodies being those that wandereth out of the way of understanding, as the scriptures tell you in Proverbs. All right. He that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. Right. It says, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord Yahushua was crucified, meaning that our ways, the ways of Yahushua was X'd out. All right, here in Babylon the Great, you see, everything here is contrary. All right, it's antichrist. Okay, it's all anti to according to Yahushua's word. All right, so it's contrary to it. So with that being said, that we are spiritually Sodom and Egypt. All right, this is what it's going to be like. All right, and like just like how we read in Genesis, what we're about to read, Genesis 47. All right, when Egypt failed, all right, and the money was failing, all right, what did people basically say? Okay, let's grab that. This is I'll grab it from let's grab it from 15. Right, it says, and this was going into Joseph's leadership in the famine. All right, they had to turn to Joseph. Okay. So it says, and when money failed in the land of Egypt, all right, and money will fail in this place today, okay, that you call Babylon the Great, all right, America. It says, and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came on to Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. All right. And that's going to also happen in these last days, man. There's going to be a lot of bartering happening. Okay. That's why when the money fails here, all right, that's why precious metals are going to go up. All right. Gold, silver, you know, those are going to be crucial things that you possess in those last days. All right. Which is only going to last for a little bit also, because the scriptures tell you, man, that they're going to throw their gold and silver into the streets also, along with their money. All right. Because everything is going to fail completely. All right, when Babylon collapses, all right, every single thing of Babylon is going to collapse. All right, from the money to the mirth to the idols in this place. Okay, it's going to be destroyed. America is going to be annihilated off the planet Earth. All right, well, not, you know, it's not going to be gone. All right, but it's going to be disintegrated, and it's just going to become a habitations of, you know, unclean birds, you know, beasts from the islands, you see. So go over there. So you know, it's going to be annihilated. So if it's going to be annihilated, that means that every single thing here in America, Babylon the Great, is got to go. Okay. But one of the last things that's going to be happening is going to be a lot of bartering. All right. When the money fails, it says, and when they brought their cattle onto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses and for the flocks and for the cattle of the herds and for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all the cattle for that year. All right. and see, when all shit falls out here, you probably gonna have about a year bartering, you know, if that, you know, because Lord willing, everything go, you know, it becomes, you know, fast, and it happens with a speedy riddance. Okay. And Yahawashi just comes and cracks clouds. But man, it's gonna be a short period of time. Okay. And a year was only a short period of time that they basically had to barter with. Okay. So the same thing here, and it's probably gonna be done in half of that time. All right, Lord willing. So it says, when that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also has our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. You see? So when everything, you know, fails here, that's going to be the main resort that people going to give out here, man. It's going to give up their bodies, all right, to this system, to this hour of temptation. You see, they're going to give up their bodies to Esau in that same spiritual manner that you're hearing these people doing right now. That this is what the Egyptians were saying, all right. And remember, you know, this place is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, so you're going to have Egyptians against Egyptians in here. You see? So these people going to come with the same mentality of, once they don't have anything, all right, for the want of certain things, all right, for the want of all things, they're going to go to the oppressor, all right, and they're going to present their bodies, okay, to them, you see, and they're going to give their bodies up to that RFID, all right. That's going into what? Revelations, all right, 13 and 16, all right, and he calls it all, both small, great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the MARK in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the MARK, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You see? So this is how he's going to make you bow down, all right, because he wants you to be, he wants to be worshipped. See, Esau has orchestrated this thing for him to ultimately be worshipped, all right, and turn you into cyborgs, and to turn you into digital slaves, okay, which, let's grab that. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4, right, and it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, all right, and that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, all right, and ultimately he's going to do it to try to, you know, throw it in the Lord's face, showing that his people have bowed down to him. All right. They haven't bowed down and exalted Yahawashi. You see, Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. They have sat down and exalted Esau as their savior. Okay. Because Esau's going, because it's something that he has orchestrated. All right. He has the power to be able to have the solution. All right. This is why it's going to be order, ab, chaos, man. All right. Problem, reaction, and solution. All right. So again, everything here is going to fail. All right. Especially that dollar. And like the guy, like the one video was saying, how we're in so much debt. All right. That's what eventually happens when you, this is why Esau has to go to war, because he's in so much debt to different things in different, you know, countries. Okay. That he has to go to war to try to basically take over the resources of all these other countries, man. And this is why these other nations, all right, the beast is going to hate the whore. This is why these other nations are going to come up against Esau, all right, because this is him still trying to be in that power seat and trying to be that powerhouse, even though he pretty much has lost his power, you know. He's already lost it. Once they made the BRICS nations, man, once they brought the BRICS currency, all right, that's when he was losing already the power, you see, because all these other nations have left that dollar, all right, and they all turn to a different currency, you see. And again, no more is the gold that they had, all right, is going to be able to back any of that shit up, all right, because this is why this is why Esau has to bring in a new world order, and he's trying to gain everybody to go with his world order, all right, which all these nations sit down together at the round table and try to bring it to, they conspire against us, together, okay, but Esau being Esau, always going to try to get greedier. You see, as the scriptures say, he's not satisfied with blood, man. So he's going to heap all nations together. All right. Well, let's grab that. This is Habakkuk. All right. 2 and 5. And it says, I'll take it from 4. It says, behold, the soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Yeah, because his pride, all right, and the pride of his heart has deceived him, right? But the just shall live by his faith. Also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, and how is he going to do that? Through this system, all right, this NWO, all right, and ultimately this RFID chip. All right, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against them? You see, every single one of these nations going to end up coming up against them and taunting proverb against them, saying, woe to him that increaseth, all right, that which is not his, which he's always done that. All right, he's always done, going into everybody's backyard and trying to take what's not his. All right, because remember, Esau has no culture. He's a vagabond. All right, he has no place to stay. He has no culture. All right, he's a fugitive. He's running from his persecution. All right, so by him being like that, all right, he always trying to be in someone's backyard and take what's not his, take someone's culture. That's what Esau's about, man. Esau is made out of a million cultures into one. Because he don't have his own. Okay, so it says, and which is not his, how long? And to him that laddeth himself with thick clay. All right, going into that thick clay is going into massive debt. All right, this is why you always hear on the news that we're in $1 trillion deficits and shit. You see, but meanwhile he's still printing out money. This is why everything is going to collapse, man. And there's only one way for it to collapse, all right, is by them, is ultimately of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, you see, because it's prophecy, all right, but it has to collapse in order for them to bring in this new world order, okay, because the money, all right, is part of the old world order, okay, and they want to bring in a new system, and now you have all these other nations that pretty much are following in his tracks, China being the one that's more advanced. China always follows after the ways of America, as it tells you in Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. You see that she pretty much has, decked herself with the same whoredoms. Okay, she has always desired to be like unto Babylon the Great. All right, and this is why they're in competition. All right, but at the same time, you have all these different nations trying to, not the allies so much yet. All right, but eventually they will turn against America. All right, but this is why you have these other nations that are not allies always trying to take America out the picture. This is why they think that they're going to be next in line, all right, to rule the world, not understanding that none of these nations are going to be able to rule next, all right? Yahweh Shai was going to set his empire, you see? Yahweh Shai is going to set his righteousness upon the earth, and he's going to take over this, and he going to take down every single one of these different empires, all right? That's why he's the Lord of Lords. Okay, the King of Kings. All right, because he's going to end up taking down every single one of these empires all at once. All right. So let's grab this. This is where is that? Isaiah. I think it's give me 1 second. I forgot where it's at. This is This is Isaiah 36:6, and it says, "Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it." You see, so by you leaning on Egypt, all right, especially when the time of the dollar falling and everything collapsing, all right, these people not gonna have the spirit to lean on Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. They're not gonna have the covering, all right, of the Lord. So their covering is going to be Esau, Edom, man, all right, and his system, his image, all right, which this is why he's setting up the image, because he wants you to, you know, be made in his image into this new world order. Okay, so these people gonna lean on that, and what's gonna eventually happen is what? It will go into his hand and pierce him. All right, and that's gonna be the ultimate okie doke right there, man. Being, you know, set up for that RFID to be placed in your hand. All right, and it says, so is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him. All right, and that's gonna be their total confusion. Okay, going into Isaiah the 30th chapter. All right, and 1, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, and that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked in my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. You see? So once they see that, they thought a particular outcome was going to come out of them following after this image, following after this new world order. They're going to realize that it was totally confusion, man, because now they're being destroyed for it. You see, now America, even though this new system is being implemented, is still collapsing. Even after the collapse to bring in the new world order, this place is still going to collapse after that. You see? So it was total confusion that has been brought to them, all right, for depending, okay, on America. As a matter of fact, let's grab that. This is Hosea, all right. They thought that these military mights, all right, the military might and the military power that this place has was going to make their nation safe, all right. This is Hosea. 1 second. Hosea's 10 and 12, right? It says, sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord Yahweh till he come and rain in righteousness upon you. All right. Now I'm gonna jump into the NOT. It says, but you have cultivated wickedness and harvested a thriving crop of sins. You have eaten the fruit of lies. You see, that's the main thing right there. They have eaten the fruit of lies, because this devil cannot be trusted. Everything that comes out of this devil's mouth is lies, right? It says, trusting in your military might, believing that great armies could make your nation safe, all right? And that's what ultimately these people want. They want safety, all right? But we know that when they come with peace and safety, those words, all right, that sudden destruction cometh upon these people, man, all right? And this new world order is going to be about nothing but peace and safety, you see? But peace is always broken by Esau. He's a covenant breaker, right? And safety, all right, there has never been safety, all right, because the safety that they're portraying is basically taking your privacy, you see, being able to monitor every single damn move that you make. So what's so safe about that, honestly, you see? But to these people's eyes, because they have taken on that image, all right, they're able to believe that, you know, everything's going to be made safe. And it's definitely not, all right? Everything's going to be, again, their total confusion through the spirit, all right? So, Shalom, Sister Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Barakatah. All right, so let me grab I had another precept. Oh, let me go back to Isaiah 19, okay? And where do I want it from? One second. Let me grab it from I'll take it from 3 again. It says, in the spirit of Egypt, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail, in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So with that being said, all right, you have to understand that the man, all right, that is your fierce king, your cruel Lord, all right, has blinded those into believing that he was going to be this person of bringing, making this place a better place, right? Making America great again, all right? But let's go to Isaiah 32 and 4. It says, the heart also, actually 5, the vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful, right? For the vile person will speak villainly, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. You see? So going into this devil, thinking that, you had this thought that he was someone that was going to make this place better, right? But in all reality, he was doing what he normally does, man. Having a certain agenda behind his mindset. Okay. And now you see that he was this whole time practicing hypocrisy. All right. Just to lead you down the wrong path. Okay. It says, the instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. You see, and that's what this devil's about, making this wicked device. All right. And this is why we tell you that you should not be ignorant to Satan's devices. Okay. And even though, all right, he bringing his wicked device to pass, all right, the counsel of the Lord, all right, shall stand, as the scriptures say. Okay. Scriptures tell you that in Proverbs, man, that how's it go? That there's many devices in a man's heart. Okay. But nevertheless shall the counsel of the Lord shall stand. Okay, so they have a certain agenda, right, with the devices, but not all of that's going to fail, as it tells you in Job. Excuse me, Job, the 5th chapter. Okay, this is the 5th chapter in Job, and verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. Okay, so eventually him trying to bring in this new world order, all right, is not going to last too long. All right, because the Lord's going, take the wise in their own craftiness, man. He's going to disappoint them, all right, by lifting that standard upon them when that time comes. You see, everything here is just meant to fall because it's prophecy. All right. So he allowed him to build it up just to destroy it. All right. Let's grab this. This is Ezekiel 7 and 19. It says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed, for their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity. All right, so here it is that these people worshipped this money. Okay, and here it is that the Lord is going to take that away. Okay, that's why the scriptures say riches profit not in the day of wrath. All right, that's why you were not supposed to set your heart on riches. All right, as a matter of fact, let's grab that. This is Ecclesiasticus, I believe is the 34th chapter, I want to say. Not the 34th. 31. This is Ecclesiasticus 31. Watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. Okay, watching care will not let a man slumber, as a sore disease breaketh sleep. The rich has got great labor in gathering riches together, and when he resteth, he is filled with his delicates. The poor laboreth in his poor state, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold has been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. You see? So eventually, you know, you putting your trust in those riches, man, that's going to be your downfall. Okay? Just like it also tells you in James, all right, for those that are rich, okay, because they have their ways of bringing their riches in, right? Let's grab that. This is James, and I'll end it off pretty much with that. This is James, I think it's the 5th chapter, I want to say. James 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupt, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fired. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord Yahawashi of Sabaoth. You have lived in pleasure on earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. You see? So, you know, eventually the Lord, all right, is going to take out all these devils, all right, that, you know, have heaped themselves treasures in these last days. Okay, and them heaping treasures, you know, they heaped that. They had enough treasures basically to set in this new world order, you know, because remember, these devils are still eating from the times of slavery, man. You know, they still got, you know, gold and silver, all right, and you know, the money that they got is all from the times of, you know, different accounts of slavery, man, eating off of it till this day, you see. And all those riches are gonna be brought down to naught, all right, because none of that ever mattered when it came to the Lord's judgment, all right. Again, you know, riches profit not in the day of wrath, all right. So you can say bye-bye to that dollar, all right, because it's being spoken of on a daily basis, man, how it's about to disappear, okay. And we can't wait for that, all right, because once that collapses, we know that the solution is going to be brought out and made mandatory. And once that is made mandatory, right, the RFID, we know we only got a little bit of time left, because eventually them 200 million missiles is going to fly, you see, and destroy this place and annihilate this place. And that's why we constantly have to look up, because our redemption draweth nigh, you see. So, hey, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Call Haloyim La Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, or Chakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who grew well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, adoring as good soldiers of Yahawashi. You sisters continue to learn silence, watching the true men of the Lord, and keep praying for this place to go down. A Bible ball soon. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Barakatah. Shalom.